I am Dan. This is going to be a short video on our denture repairs, and basically, this video is specifically for dentures to the tooth that popped out. And don't ever try to super glue it in because you can ruin the denture by doing that. And this is one that the tooth is popped out, and it can go back in the socket perfectly. And it's a pretty easy repair to do. There's a couple things you'll need: is a brush, a couple cotton tip applicators, and a couple burrs. And if I mail you the kit, I basically send everything you need but a Dremel tool. And if you use a Dremel tool or one from one of the hardware stores, usually the colic that comes with the kit will fit your Dremel tool, and then you could use these size burrs, which I think they are 3/32 shanks on it. And I'll just give you everything to do this repair yourself, because as you know, if you go to the dentist, it will be very costly, and really it's not real hard to do. So we'll start out by, this is a denture that I don't know, someone left when I replaced it, but I broke the tooth out of it, and you just make sure the tooth goes back in the socket perfectly. And it does. Now, this isn't the right tooth. I made it a little bit bigger so you can see, but actually it goes into the socket perfectly. And you can tell it fits in there nice and flush. And if you put it in your mouth, it shouldn't feel high. So, because if it's out of occlusion, that can cause you some problems. So, once it's out of the socket, all you want to do is you're going to take one of the burrs that like I said, I provide pretty much all the burrs that you're going to need. Okay, and you're going to take the one that's called a cross-cut Fisher burr. It's very simple. Okay, now this Dremel tool has got a handpiece on it, and it's got a handpiece, but it's the same. The end of this is the exact same end that's on the Dremel tool itself. So you'll be able just to use that. You know, use your Dremel tool instead of having to get this handpiece attachment. Okay. So we're going to cut a slot down the back of the denture. It's real simple. Just one slot straight down. Now make sure you don't go through the denture into the underside of the denture. Okay? And then you're going to take and taper that down all the way to the bottom where the tooth sits in there. The whole length of the tooth. You want to make a slot that goes the whole length of the tooth. Okay? And then we're going to take the tooth itself and approximately right dead middle, because that's where that strip is going to be, you're going to put a hole in your tooth. Just maybe about 2 or 3 millimeters in depth. You don't want to go through the tooth. Okay, and now you're going to cut it like a little slice in it. You're going to see, then that way, whenever you put the tooth back in the socket, it should fit in perfectly. Okay, now let's see how this looks. Take one of your cotton tip applicators. And what you're going to do is you're going to have a little cup with a little bit of liquid and a little bit of powder in it that I'm also going to provide for you. Now you got to be careful not to get any dirt or contaminate either one of these. But you take a clean Q-tip in it. And you only dip it in there one time. Then you don't go back into it. And you just clean it out. Clean out the hole. Clean out all the dust from the shavings. Okay, clean around it real good. Take the tooth. Clean the bottom of the tooth off too. Get it nice and clean. Okay. Alright, discard that cotton tip applicator because you don't want to reuse it again. Make sure it fits back in the hole. It looks perfect. Now, there's a hole in the back of the tooth, and there's a slot that goes into that. So we can get the powder and the liquid to go in there. And then you just take your brush. You dip it in your liquid, dip it in your powder, pick up some acrylic, just like that. You stick it in, you get it right by the hole there, and let it go in. Okay, then you can take one of your cotton tip applicators, take the stick from it, break it off, having that little piece, and hold the tooth down, okay, and push the acrylic in the hole. Make sure you push it in there while it's still, this stuff sets pretty quick, so you got to work with it pretty quick, and then you just keep pushing it, push it in the hole. Try not to break the wood off in it. Okay, get it in there. You just keep pushing. You'll see when you push it in, it'll start coming back out at you, so that you know you have enough in there. And don't worry, if you don't get it in there, as the material sets up, it'll shrink in the hole, and then you'll just have to add a little bit on top of it. Okay, so get the hole filled up pretty good. Now you want to overfill it just a little bit. Okay, just a touch. You want to overfill it just a little bit, because this stuff will shrink into the hole. It'll actually, as it sets up, it'll suck it into the hole. Okay. Now you don't want a lot, because the more you put on there, the more finishing you're going to have to do. And so get another cotton tip applicator, dip it in your liquid, clean any of the excess material off around the hole. Actually push it up. You can push it all the way up to the hole, where the hole is. You know, and then that'll make it, it'll be less time for it setting. You know, it'll take less time for it to set up, because you'll have more material there, and it gets hot. And once it starts heating up, it'll go in there. Now the front, as you can see, the front of the tooth went in, and it's great. You don't have to do no finishing on the front of the tooth. This acrylic is going to be strong enough. If it goes into that Denture hole that you cut into the tooth, it should, you know, it should be strong enough to hold that tooth back into place pretty good. So you let it set up. It usually doesn't take that long, this material. You can run it under hot water, was what I'm going to do. Okay. Okay, now that took about a minute. Sorry about not just shutting it off, but it took about a minute. When you fill the hole, once it starts to lose its glaze, where it starts to be a little hard, then you can fill it, and it's pretty hard. Okay, and because it'll start, the heat from the hot water will start the chemical processing, and making the two chemicals bond together. Then it bonds to the tooth mechanically and chemically also. If it's a plastic tooth, if it's a porcelain tooth, it's a different ball game, because the porcelain tooth is got a couple little brass pins in the back of it that look like nail heads. Now, if those brass pins are gone, then this won't work, and you'll have to get a new tooth. And you can get a plastic tooth and replace it with a plastic tooth and do it the same way. But then it's a little bit more work, but it still isn't a hard thing to do. And individual teeth are available, so as long as we can figure out what shade it is, we'll be able to do that also. Okay, so let me see here. It's getting pretty hard already. And it's only been like 2 minutes, so you want to make sure it's hard all the way. Now, if you can put your fingernail into it and it doesn't make a mark, then it's pretty good. Okay. So already, just like I said, 2 minutes ran it under hot water for a minute, and it basically set the material up. Okay, so now we're going to take one of our burrs. Again, these will be ones that I provide to you. This is a bigger burr, and it shouldn't take long, because you only got a little spot to take off. Now, you just got to be careful that you just grind where the tooth is at, where the spot is. Okay. Okay. Now that takes the bulk of it off. Alright. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put one of these rubber points on it. Okay. Now I suggest use the blue one first. And put your Dremel tool down on low speed, because you don't want to take too much off. Run it on low speed. And just go over that area. Try not to go all over the place, because the more area you go over, the more you're going to have to put a polish on. Okay, now this is it's really simple. Now you'll basically see the whole. You'll basically see where the new acrylic is. It's pretty much visible, but you know, if the acrylic matches real good, it's harder to see. Just get it as smooth as you can with the blue one. Okay, then we'll take the blue one out, and you probably either have a green one or a brown one. You can do if you get them both, take the brown one first. Go over it again, real nice and slow, just in the general area that you're working on, and you'll see it's smoothing it up. It's really smoothing it up pretty good with this brown one. Okay. Now that's usually pretty smooth right there. Okay, which is there's hardly any polishing to do. So all we're going to do then is you take the brown one out, but the last one is going to be a green one. It's a real smooth one. Okay, and they're all bullet shaped. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you run it over the area. You run it over the area, you'll see it starting to shine it. And it'll start shining that area real good. Okay, now once you run it over real good, what you do is you take your piece of polish that I provide also. Run it on the green, just rub it right on the rubber. And then you just run it back over it. Okay, and what you're going to do is you do that twice. Okay, don't press real hard, just press real light. Okay, and there we go. It's really looking good now. It's nice and smooth. The last thing you want to do is leave a rough spot on the back of your denture for your tongue, because then you're going to have problems with little sores on your tongue. So now we got that nice and smooth. And now it's just about done now. And then we're going to have a bristle brush that I'm also going to provide. Okay, then take these all out, put your brush in. Okay. Now you want to soften the brushes. If I forget to do this, turn it on and then just soften it against one of your burrs. You can soften it against the big one I give you. This softens it up because it's a stiff brush. Now you run it on the low speed. And then you just dip it into your polish. You'll see it'll take a little groove of your polish out. And then all you do is you just stay sideways with it and go back and forth with it, up and down. Don't, very lightly, because this brush is so stiff enough where it'll actually cut the acrylic. Okay, so there we go. That's that. Now you can go around the front of the tooth to make sure no excess acrylic should have got through, but you can just go over it real lightly and it'll polish that tooth back up. Okay. And then what I suggest you do, there we go, that's about as good as you can get. There's a little bit of polish left over on there. And all you're going to do with that is use your denture brush, which hopefully you clean your denture with one. Not using any toothpaste, just your denture brush with the tablet you put in it. And just scrub it off. And let me see if the brush that I provide, it might be enough. But what's the best thing to do is just get it cleaned off, or you could put it in your denture bath with your tablet, and that's it. It's done. It's the area that I repaired. It's perfectly smooth. I mean, that's as good as you can get. It's probably better than most labs will do for you. And what it cost you. Now, this kit is available. You can get it from Dan's Denture Repair Service. My email address is DanielIsabella1963 at Gmail. And just email me, and I'll get in contact with you, and we can go over the specifics of each case, because every case is different. So I hope this video was helpful to you. This should save you a good bit of money, and it doesn't take long at all. And as you can see, it's ready instantly. So I press it on this with pretty good force, and it's staying in. Super glue will last a couple days, and then your saliva eats it away. So you give that a try, and that should be able to get your tooth back in the proper position and get you eating again. Okay, have a nice day. Again, it's Dan's Denture Service. Thank you.